Peace and love, y'all. Welcome to another Life in Mexico video. I'm Kiba. I have been living in Merida, Mexico for 3 years, and today I'm gonna be sharing some tips on some things that you can do from my experience to help make your move abroad as easy, simple, and stress-free as possible. A huge goal of mine with this channel is to really motivate, inspire, and just share wisdom from my experience so that those of you who know and feel in your hearts of heart that you desire to move abroad can really take that leap. So if I can share some things that help make your move better, easier, more divine, that is a huge part of why I decided to start this channel. So of course, everyone is different. You can take these tips and run with them. Some of them you may feel like are not necessarily for you. So it is what it is. Take what applies and leave what doesn't. So the first thing I want to say, this would be tip number one, is really truly deciding that you're going to move abroad. And what I mean by this is getting out of the mindset of hoping, wishing, praying, oh, I'm trying to move abroad. I wish I could move abroad. Oh, I hope I can move abroad one day. You have to really decide, and you have to be confident in your decision. At the end of the day, you are the creator of your reality. You have the power within you to change anything you desire to change in your life, and you have to go within yourself and utilize that power and get out of the mindset of trying to do something or hoping or wishing you can do something. Decide you're gonna do it. Make that decision and be unwavering in your decision to do it. No back and forth. Once you decide, that is a very powerful, vibration that you're putting out to the universe. Once you decide on something and you are confident and rooted in your decision, things start to conspire to help bring that vision of yours to fruition. So you got to decide. That's tip number one. A lot of people have asked me, how did you make the move? I decided I was going to move, and it was just as simple as that. I was unwavering in the decision. Once I decided that this was what I wanted to do, that was it. So that's number one. Tip two is having clarity on who you really are, having clarity on where you are. Hold on, y'all. Had to let the water truck pass by. Having clarity on who you are and on where you are in your journey and what's most important for you. I feel like you have to get outside of what you see other people posting on social media, because we're all different and everyone chooses to move abroad for a different reason. For example, for myself, I knew that a large part of me moving abroad, that slowing down was something that was very important for me. Safety was very important for me. And also being somewhere in Mexico where I was gonna have close proximity to the beach. So those were the three things that were at the top of the list for me. I wanted to be safe, I wanted to be very slow paced, and I want to have close proximity to a beach, right? So for you, what's most important for you may be different, but you need to be really, really, really clear on that. What is your why? Okay? Tip number three would be making sure that you are very clear on what you're going to need financially to live the life that you desire to live when you move abroad. Whether you're moving to Mexico or to any other country, you need to really be clear, okay? Be real clear. So knowing for sure what you should be expecting to pay for rent, even being clear on what the currency exchange is. I have an app on my phone that I use. If I can pop up a little screenshot of it, I will in this video. But it was no guessing. It's I want to know for sure, what is the exchange rate, and the exchange rate here changes. Sometimes your rent can really fluctuate a couple of $100s, because the rate is not the exact same every day. So just being clear on what you're gonna need, and I feel like everybody is different. So I'm not the person that's gonna tell you, oh yeah, you need to have $25,000 saved, you need to have this, and this. We're all different. I literally know people who they took the leap and bet on themselves and they moved abroad. They didn't really have no money saved, but they have that belief in themselves, and they also know that they have skills they can use that will help them do what they need to do when they get to wherever they're going, right? So I say you need to really definitely have some sort of plan in place in terms of, if you know you have some skills that you can use, you know how to do certain things online, just having a plan in place when it comes to financially sustaining yourself. I am going to do a video soon sharing what I do for a living and how I'm able to support myself, and giving some tips on that as well. But you got to know who you are. You know, some people can roll the dice, take the leap, and believe and bet on themselves, and they can move abroad with a couple of $100s, right? For other people, they want to plan, you know, more strategically than that. I want to have 6 months or a year's worth of living expenses based on where I'm moving to. So you have to really figure out the cloth that you're cut from. But you do need to know what to expect in terms of, okay, what is housing going to be? What do I need to know that I'm going to need to circulate every month for food? So something that I feel is very important to do is join Facebook groups. I know Facebook is not the most popular social media platform anymore, but when it comes to moving abroad, I feel like Facebook is a gold mine, because there are so many different groups that you can join. I was in so many different Facebook groups. I was in Facebook groups where it was, you know, Black people living in Merida, because I want to get the firsthand experience from other Black people. But I was also in groups that were about the food in Merida. I'm plant-based. I want to know, okay, what are the stores that are going to have the kind of items that I know I like to cook with and use. Where the restaurants, like I was in a group specifically about housing. You know, and Facebook Marketplace is a really good place to look for housing too as well. But I was in groups for everything. Like I want to know as much as I can. And when you join Facebook groups, use the search bar within the group and ask, you know, type in your question, because 9 times out of 10, it's already been answered in the group. But use Facebook to your advantage to do research beyond just watching other people's content, right? So that's 3. Number 4 was I hired an immigration lawyer to help me with my visa process. It is something that you can do on your own, but for me, it was overwhelming. I was overstimulated trying to do it on my own. So I did hire an immigration lawyer to help me. She made the process very simple, very easy. I will share her information in the description box. So, you know, if you know that you're going to be moving, for example, to Mexico long term, go ahead and hire someone to help you if it's in your budget, to make that process super simple and super easy. And these are things that I did because moving abroad is a huge life change, right? And I wanted my energy to be as calm and as balanced as possible. I'm like, I don't want to approach this with disorganization, and I don't want to approach this with any type of chaotic energy, because it's already a big enough change. And there's going to be a lot of emotions that you're going to have to process while making your move abroad, right? So definitely doing that. Also having an open mind. Like for me, my mindset moving here, I knew like I'm more so wanting to live in close proximity to locals. I wanted to more so have an experience closer to what the locals have, because I wanted to take advantage of actually being in a country where the dollar for right now at this present moment goes further. So a lot of people make the mistake of being in this mindset of, well, if I'm, say for example, you're paying $2,000 a month for rent in the States, and it's some apartments in Atlanta where the rent is $2,000, right? For just a regular apartment, not even nothing super luxury. Here, $2,000 is like, oh, I could live like in a mini mansion. So some people do that where they're comparing, oh, I can spend $2,000 here and get something way bigger and way better. For me, I was like, well, if I'm gonna move somewhere where the dollar goes further, let me like put some emphasis on cutting the living expenses down, so that way I have more disposable income. So not getting stuck in that loop of moving somewhere abroad and kind of creating the same level of bills and expenses for yourself. Because I have met people who are like, yeah, I remember somebody even saying to me one time, like, I don't get why people say living in Mexico is so cheap. Like, it is not cheap to live here. I say it's more affordable. However, if you don't kind of have that mindset flip where it's like, let me live and do things more like the locals do. You can create a lifestyle here that is where it's like you are circulating the same amount of money that you were in the States, damn near. So definitely use living somewhere where the dollar goes further to your advantage, right? Another tip is I would recommend booking an Airbnb for like a whole month prior to you coming. That way you don't have to worry about moving around from hotel to hotel or from Airbnb to Airbnb when you get here. Again, you want your move to be calm. You want it to be as stress-free as possible. And a lot of times you get a much better rate when you just rent an Airbnb for a whole month. So that way you have time to get out and go find like wherever you're gonna live at long term. But at least you know that first month you can be somewhere and you don't have to worry about, oh my God, in a week I'm gonna have to change and go to another hotel or to another Airbnb. Like you don't want to add more stress on top of it. So I say book your Airbnb for at least a month. That way you know you have a good amount of time to get out and look for long-term rentals, and you don't have to worry about changing locations, packing all your stuff back up and having to switch and go to different hotels or different Airbnbs. Now, this next tip is something that I feel is very beneficial. You know, like before you sell everything and you know, before you sell the house, the car, and minimize your life down to a couple of suitcases, if it is in your budget, take an exploration trip to whichever country you desire to relocate to. And especially if it's somewhere that you've never been to ever, I feel like it is worth it to go and explore it as if you're living there for like 7 to 10 days. So prior to me moving here, I had been to Mexico more than once, but I had been to Mexico from only a vacation perspective. So staying at an all-inclusive resort, only leaving the resort to do like excursions and things like that. I had never got out, went to the market, and like really got into the culture. So I did come for a 7-day exploration trip in Merida before I moved here, and it just added more confirmation. Like, yep, on top of all the research I had done, of all the, you know, mining through different Facebook groups, it just added that extra layer of confirmation coming for a week. And really, you know, I stayed in an Airbnb because I wanted to get a feel of housing. I didn't want to stay in a hotel. I got out on my own certain days. Like, let me call an Uber, let me call a Didi, let me go eat somewhere by myself to just really get a feel for what this is going to be like, right? So I definitely recommend doing that, especially if you're moving somewhere like, you know, Belize, Panama, Mexico. These are countries that are really close to the US, and the flights are normally nothing outrageous. Now, I do understand if you are planning a move very far, like if you're in the States and you're planning to move to Africa or to Asia, it may not be feasible for you to just go for 7 days to explore it. You may just be like, you know what? I'm going to just take that leap and trust that it's all going to be good. And when I go, I'm going, and this is the move. But if it's in your budget, I definitely recommend taking that exploration trip just to add that extra layer of confirmation, because you want your move abroad to be, you know, calm. You want it to feel good. You don't want it to be any type of chaos type energy around it, like I said. And another tip is setting your intentions, expecting for it to work out. You know, you're powerful. You create your reality through your thoughts, your energy, and your vibration. So I would say definitely set your intentions on everything working out and staying confident and rooted in your decision. Not thinking about worst case scenarios. Not being in the mindset of, well, if it doesn't work out, I'll just go back. Because you set yourself up by default for failure when you think like that. Like for myself, there was no if it doesn't work out. There was no plan B. It's only plan A. I'm flexible with how plan A unfolds, but there is no plan B. And that's just how I live my life. When I decide to do something, it's like, why would I give myself a way out? Why would I plan B myself? That means I'm not really confident. I haven't really decided confidently on what I'm doing. So set your intentions, be confident in your decision, and give yourself grace and be very patient with yourself. You're making a huge change in your life when you decide to pack up, get rid of all of your things, kind of get rid of, you're like leaving behind a life that you have been comfortable in, right? So you have to know that when you first arrive in this new country, of course it's going to be excitement, but you may go through so many different emotions once you get there. So you have to be gentle and patient and very graceful with yourself, and a lot of positive self-talk. For some people, it could take 3 to 6 months just for them to fully ease into the new environment, to fully like, okay, I really feel, grounded here now. I've met people where it's like, yeah, the first month was real. It was really emotional because I had to you're making huge adjustments. I know the first day I got here, I had a moment. It lasted for about an hour where I had a moment and I had to really calm myself down. It's not as bad now, but in 2023, the GPS here was not the best. Like your GPS, like if you were in an Uber or a Didi, you put an address in, it may take you to the vicinity, but not right to the address. So the first day I got here, I went to the grocery store just to get a few things, and it gets dark here really early. So by the time I was on the way back, it was dark, and my driver, we drove around in circles for like an hour. She could not find my house, and it took about an hour before I was able to get the owner on the phone, and he kind of guided us to the house. And I remember when I got in, my driver was so nice. She helped me bring my stuff in and everything. I got in and I just had a moment where I started crying. I was just so overstimulated and overwhelmed, and just having one of those like, oh my God, what the fuck did I do? And I had to just, let me slow my breathing down. Let me bring myself to the present moment. Let me take some deep diaphragmatic breaths. Let me ground myself. I had to dig into my spiritual toolbox. Let me get my incense. Let me get my sage, my Palo Santo. Let me tap in with my spiritual team. And I had to just reassure myself, everything's okay. We just got a little bit frustrated. It's not the end of the world. We good. And I just was able to calm myself down. Got up the next day, felt amazing. Went to the beach, had a beautiful day. But that was just a moment for me. For some people, it's a series of those kind of emotions for like the first couple of weeks, where it is just like, oh my God, like I just moved to a whole new country, and I moved by myself. I don't speak the language. It's a lot to take in. So you want to be real kind and very gracious and graceful with yourself as well. So these are some of the things that, helped me with my move to Mexico. It helped make the whole entire process very divine, very simple, very seamless. And I hope that these tips I know that these tips will be beneficial to you as well if you are planning to move to Mexico or somewhere else in the world. And as I said before, I just feel like if this is something that you know in your heart and within yourself that you desire to experience, you have to know that you deserve it. You deserve to live a peaceful life. You deserve to be able to experience life anywhere you can imagine for yourself, and only you have the power to make that happen. So you got to make a decision. You have to decide, and you have to be confident in your decision. And once you decide, all of the pieces will start to come together. The right information will come to you. You'll be guided to everything that you need to know to make it happen for yourself. So get busy getting clarity. Get busy on being confident and making a decision. Where do you desire to move? Why do you desire to move there? When do you desire to move? Write it down. I am moving here on this date. Write it down. Make a vision board around it. Think about it all day, and think about it from the perspective of it already being done. Not you hoping, wishing, praying. No, it's already done. Right? It's already done. So I just wanted to share those tips with you all really quickly. I'm about to head out to the park. There is a park not too far from me, about 15 minutes away. And there is a small set of ruins at this park. One of my favorite things to do here in Mexico, y'all, is to go see different ruins. I think I've seen like 7-8 different ruins. So this is a small set, but you can climb up. And I love to go here to sun gaze and watch the sunset. So I'm going to go and do me some sun gazing and just enjoy the rest of this day at the park in nature. So thank you all for tuning in. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, do all of those great things, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.